Hello, tenties. Welcome back to the Welcome to My Tent podcast, Wednesday solo episode. It is, I believe, let's look at a calendar. See, this is like where my brain is. I cannot figure out what day it is. This might be, yes, this is the last solo episode. Sarah, what of this year? So we'll have a solo this week. We have a guest next week. And then we're going to be rock and rolling right into 2024, which is crazy town USA. So I'm really excited to chat with you guys today. Updates, some things, some thoughts, some rambling, some musings, and just kind of a free flow of me. Okay, let's go. Hi, hello, hey, and welcome to my tent, a place to hear life experiences, different opinions, a range of journeys, and a viewpoint different than our own. A place to challenge our own thoughts, a space to learn a little bit, and I promise some fun along the way. I believe we're better when we let a range of people into our tents, so welcome to mine. Hello, friends. Super excited to be sitting down and chatting with you all today as we wrap up the rest of this year and head into the new year, which is wild to me. I feel like I say this every year where I'm like, I cannot believe how fast that year went. And it is very true, that phrase. The days are short. The days are long, the years are short. There we go. There it is. And if you've ever heard that before, I feel like it's true in just so many aspects. We hear it in parenting a lot of there are going to be days that are challenging. And then you realize all of a sudden they're 18 years old and it feels like no time went by. And that's kind of how I feel about every year at the end of the year. And we've lived here for over a year, which is crazy. And all of the things seem wild. So I'm really excited to take some respite over the next couple of weeks. I've worked really hard to set things up on my end business wise to automate or kind of go downtime, go rogue a little bit, to spend some time with my family. Ronan is on winter break next week from daycare. I mean, Christmas is Monday, but then for the rest of the week through the new year, he's going to be off. So I'm really excited to have all next week with him. Duke's also trying to take most of that week off as well. So we'll have a full week with him, almost as like a little mini vacay here. We're going to try to set some stuff up and do some fun activities with him and then go into New Year's, which is crazy. I texted my sister-in-law the other day, like, wait, what are we doing for New Year's Eve? Completely forgetting that is part of this whole holiday couple weeks. I just completely forgot that was also coming up. Not that we go out and do anything crazy. I mean, they usually just come over and we have like a big family sleepover. But I was like, wait, we should probably think about New Year's Eve because I completely forgot that's also coming up. I feel like my head is just not on straight. It is always true for me. If things are not written down, it's usually not a good sign I'll remember them, but especially now, I am writing down the most minute tasks, legitimately, like take out the garbage, because I feel like my head is just in 7,000 places, and that is just what needs to be done. So I'm kind of amped, hopefully next week, to disconnect from a lot of things and reconnect to being home and cozy and with my family and hanging out and doing just life things and putting some other stuff aside for the time being because I'm feeling a little burnt out. What's really interesting, actually, if you listen to last week's episode with Clint Callahan, he was saying that burnout is a profound disconnection from yourself. Like, a lot of people think of it as you're tired or you're exhausted or physically feeling some type of way, which isn't wrong. I think that contributes to it. But that disconnection from your sense of self really connected with me for some reason. And that's kind of how I'm feeling. So this is coming at a good time to kind of pause and regather my thoughts. And part of what actually has kicked this off and really helped, and if you follow it along on Instagram, you may have seen some of this, is this past weekend on Saturday night to Sunday, I spent 24 hours solo at a little resort and spa here in the area. So kind of kidding, mostly not. I told Duke that for Christmas, all I wanted was some goddamn peace and quiet. And I was, again, like sort of joking because I am an extremely extrovertedly introverted person. An ambivert, I guess is what that is called. And I can be the utmost extroverted with people, and I have no sort of fears or issues with striking up conversation with anyone or doing anything with new people or going to a new place or being in sales. You know, that was kind of my whole MO. That is who I am. But I recharge in silence and I recharge solo. And I think especially this time of year where we're running around and people are visiting and we're going and we're traveling and we're down in Tucson and now we're back here and now we're planning and now it's this. And I have just felt like there's been too much noise, and I really actually wanted like quietness, like physical, like quietness around me, but also quietness for myself. And I'm also someone that has that New York minute mentality. If you don't know, I'm actually from right outside New York City. I'm from a suburb in Connecticut that's about 50 minutes outside of Manhattan. And I also lived in Manhattan, and my natural inclination is to sprint everywhere, even if I'm not running late. It is just always my personality to go full steam ahead and full steam forward. And it is taxing because I don't really realize sometimes I'm doing it. Even when I am in the grocery store, I am rushing, sometimes for no good reason. I am just walking like a 12-minute mile in there, like sprinting around this grocery store. And I don't even realize I am doing it. And so it was really nice to be able to get away. And what I really focused on is, first off, like actual silence. So sitting outside and reading in the silence, or going to the jacuzzi and sitting in there when no one was in there, with no headphones in, with nothing else, and just being in the silence. But I also really focused on quieting my body and it was uncomfortable for me because I'm not like this, but I really tried to do things at a glacial and leisurely pace. So I caught myself like in these moments of like, whoa, Nelly, slow down. For example, like walking back from my massage to the rest of the resort, it's like a 6-minute walk on this nature path. And I found myself power walking, and I'm like, Sarah, slow down. This could probably take me 5 minutes. Let's make it take 10. Walk at a glacial pace. You have nowhere to be. Slow your body down. Slow your roll. Like, calm down. So it was incredible to be able to get away for a couple days and do me. And I am eternally grateful for that I have so much confidence in Duke as a parent. He was home and was here with Ronan, and I just did myself. And I came back so much more recharged from that, escapade. And I think there's a conversation to be had around that, because there are some people who think like you shouldn't need a break from life or your child. And I don't really think that's necessarily true, because like I've said, like, especially for me, where I recharge in silence and I recharge without people physically touching me or needing me, it's really hard to do that if you're constantly being needed by someone. So that's my 2 cents there. But the Boulders Resort and Spa in Scottsdale was phenomenal. If you're ever in the area and looking for somewhere to go, it was super peaceful and quiet and kind of off of the main drags of anywhere. So it felt like it was kind of remote, and it was great. So I came back feeling so much more rested, which is important because by the time that this airs, yes, Duke will be back. But I essentially got back on Sunday, and then Duke headed out to Chicago for work. So I've been solo parenting, basically since I got back from my little away time. I don't usually like to air when Duke is away unless he's already back, because I watch far too much Dateline and murder shows to feel comfortable doing that. But he will be back by the time that this airs, so we're all good there. Anyway, I do have a couple things that I have just been noodling on over the past couple days. And the first one is in this vein of accepting change and knowing that it's okay to change and to change our mind and to change our thoughts. And I was really thinking about this today because I just got back, actually. I'm sitting here, which is like such bliss. If you know, you know. I just got back from hot yoga, and then I took such a long, nice shower and washed my hair, and now I'm sitting here in sweatpants just feeling all kinds of good. But I was really thinking about this during yoga today because I feel like a lot of my life I've ebbed and flowed through things that were working for me. And for some reason in my brain, I find resistance to saying like, that's not working anymore. And I don't know if it's part of me is like, oh, well, I said it did, and I don't want to come off like I'm being not authentic, or I don't want it to come off like I got it wrong. Or, you know, I said that I loved running and now I'm kind of like, I don't want to do that anymore. Like, what are people going to think? I think a lot of it's like what people are going to think of me, but that's a whole other story. But I was thinking about a lot during my practice this morning, because right now and in this season of life, going to hot yoga and going to Pilates and doing a lot of walking and low impact is what is working for me. And there was seasons and years of my life that it was high impact, and it was, you know, treadmill and HIIT classes and whipping my body around and doing crazy things. And that was what was working for me maybe at that time. And it kind of contributed to me taking longer, I think, than I would have liked now looking back, to say like, that's not serving me anymore. And like, what is so wrong about saying I'm in a different phase of life now and I need something different? I think I held on to a lot of things for a long time where I claimed like, oh, this is it for me because I said it. I said that I'm a runner. I said that this is me. So I don't want it to come off like I was wrong about that, I guess. And it's not wrong to change it up and then figure out, oh, this is actually what's working a lot better for me right now. And it's a whole ode to what actual wellness is about, is recognizing that you may need something different and doing that thing, you know? So that's kind of my 2 cents on how I was viewing change and what types of exercise or stuff that I'm doing in my life, or even think about like food. It's like, I don't like meal prep. I'm sorry. I just don't. I hate it. I hate meal prepping. I hate eating the same thing all the time. And for so long, I was kind of trying to force myself into it. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm not that girl. And I was like acting like I loved meal prepping and loved eating the same dish for like 5 nights in a row. And then I was like, F this. I don't like it. It's okay to change. It's okay to find something else that works for me. Anyway, that's my thought there. But I also want to talk about something because I saw it the other day, which is just what sparked my thoughts on this, but it's actually something that I've thought about a lot and I've caught myself doing. And it is when we say, oh, I snuck in a workout, or I snuck in a walk. I snuck away to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to sneak away to do my meditation or my journaling. And this concept of sneaking it in. Or someone saying what I saw, just happened to see the other day, was like, oh my gosh, it's been a crazy day, but I snuck in getting to the gym. And it's something it's one of those phrases I think that we've heard enough. And a lot of times these can become second nature, or we see it or we say it, and it's hard to get out of that habit. But I really started to think about what that phrase means and what that holds. And the conclusion that I kind of came to is, sneaking is sneaky. It's not necessarily a great word to sneak around or to hide things, or it's something that we don't necessarily want people to know we did if you want to be sneaky about it. And to me, that's like the opposite of what we should be doing. So instead of saying, oh, I snuck this in, why don't we just unapologetically take up space? Like, why don't we unapologetically say, I need this 30 minutes. I am taking this hour. I am doing X, Y, and Z to fill up my own joy, my own tank, and then I can get back to whatever I was doing with a little bit more space. I also think it aligns and draws into this concept of like sneaking so we don't have to make noise. To me, like, I kind of make this connection of when you sneak, you want to be silent. And so much of our life and our day asks us to be smaller and to be unseen. And all the time during my classes or my privates or my coaching, I invite people to take up that space. I invite people to physically with their bodies expand and press and stretch and take up space, but also take up space with what you want. So instead of feeling like you need to sneak out to do something, maybe change that to, I need to take up this space. I need to fill myself back up. I need to not apologize or make it seem like this is something that I am doing that is wrong, rather something that I am doing that is so right for myself. And maybe some of you are like, girl, you're taking this metaphor like way too far. But I've just been really thinking about it recently. And it kind of also draws into the conversation of not even stopping and thinking about what we're saying or thinking sometimes. And this ties back to my conversation that I was having with you all, my conversation I was having 5 minutes ago with you about not even realizing how fast I'm going all the time. Not even realizing I'm sprinting to the grocery store. Not even realize that I'm literally running up my stairs for no reason. And it's because it's so ingrained in us to do these things and to just continue and kind of go on autopilot because we're all very busy people. I completely get it. And so you start to say these things like, oh, I'm going to sneak in a workout without even thinking about what that implies and what that holds. And I talk about this a lot as well as like breaking these patterns and finding these barriers to change. And the way that we're talking about things is one of those. And that can go for anything of the way that we talk to ourselves about how we look, the way that we talk to ourselves about how we operate. I mean, another thing that I'm really trying to be hyper focused on is I have an inclination and a tendency when I do something that's kind of silly, I say, oh my God, I'm so stupid. And it may seem like that's not a big deal in the moment, but when I'm saying that to myself without a second thought 5 times a day, why wouldn't I start to believe myself? Why wouldn't I start to think, oh, I really am stupid. That was stupid. That was unworthy. So I really invite you, especially as we're on extra autopilot this season and this time of life, to take a breath and think about what we're saying to ourselves, sometimes out loud. I'll literally say, oh my God, Sarah, oh my God, you're so stupid. And a lot of times I'm thinking these things internally and thinking these things in my head. But taking a second to pause and maybe break that cycle. Okay, so you said that out loud. Okay, so maybe you said something that was not so kind about your body or about yourself. Rephrase it. Take that as an opportunity to break that cycle and start a new one. And this takes some time, and I still catch myself doing these things. And I said it the other day. I literally said it the other day too, which was so funny. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna go sneak this in real quick. And then I was like, oh my God, I was just thinking about this, which is probably why I said it, but I said it and it came out so naturally. So take some time and some inventory of thinking about the way that you're talking to yourself, because we can be our harshest and our worst critics. And as we're going through the motions of day to day and sometimes just rushing through life and trying to get through, doing these things over and over and over again is what ingrains patterns and our own self-image into our head. So I don't know, this one really got me thinking of that one singular phrase of I'm going to sneak in a workout, got me spinning and snowballing into a whole other kind of conversation in my head. around how we phrase things and how we do things. I mean, the same goes for how we think about good versus bad. It's good to exercise. It's bad to rest. I mean, it is deeply ingrained in our society and deeply ingrained into diet culture and into a lot of the messaging and whatnot out on the interwebs. So that was kind of something that really took me on a journey. That one sentence took me on quite the journey recently, and I figured I'd share that with you. The last thing I want to share is almost just like a really feel-good story, and one that really made me smile and clearly I'm still thinking about. And when I was on my little staycation and Sunday morning, I decided to go to the fitness center at the spa and the boulders and the resort, whatever. And I, classic extroverted kind of human, and I felt like I had recharged enough to interact with people at that point. I struck up conversation with a man named Albert, and he was 85, did not look 85, and he was lifting and doing his exercise regimen. Not to mention he was also in khakis and like little leather shoes, which was so cute. I like wanted to cry. That's besides the point, but he was lifting, and he was lifting like 12 pounds, 15 pounds. I mean, like he was going for it. And we strike up conversation and we're chatting, and he's like, I'm 85. And I was shocked when I tell you this man looked like maybe 70. And I asked him how long he had been lifting for and exercising for. And he said since, his early 60s, and it's kept him moving and it's kept him mobile and really kept him from aging. And it was so apparent. His form was great. He was like energetic. And I just want to have this be proof that fitness is for everyone, and taking care of yourself, I swear, can extend your life. And it is case in point with this 85-year-old guy who was in there for probably an hour doing his thing. He said he does it every other day. It also gets him out of the house and gets him to talking to people, and just, it's almost like a social activity as well. But when we think about our later years, when we think about what we want to be like when we're 85, I personally want to be running around with grandkids or running around with my family, staying active, being outdoors. I want to be able to move and feel as good as I can for as long as I can. And I think we see so many people, especially of the older generation, who are plagued by ailments and by lack of mobility. And one of my favorite whys of one of my clients, I always ask in the beginning of our time working together, some of the whys and the motivations behind getting healthier. And hers is that she's going to have grandkids soon, and she wants to go on bike rides, and she wants to go on hikes, and she wants to pick them up, and she wants to play with them. And to me, that's such an incredible why, because what we're doing now and how we're treating ourselves now isn't just for the now. I mean, it helps. And for example, all these things that I do are obviously creating space and bettering my mental health and my physical health right now. But when you look at that in a much broader sense, when I'm 85, that's still going to be trickling in from what we're doing now. So I don't know. I feel like I've gotten so philosophical. There it is, over like small things, but it is just really true. Like one sentence, one phrase, one person. I've just gotten to thinking about a lot of things over the past couple weeks. Anyway, we'll cap this. We'll keep it short and sweet. I know everyone is heading into holiday season or coming off holiday season and running around like chickens with their heads cut off. Take some time, pause, drink some water, be kind, love yourself. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to the Welcome to My 10 podcast. I hope you had as much fun listening as I do recording. I am so happy to have you here, and see you next episode.